Alright, welcome, weary wanderers. I'm not really going to do much of an intro this time. This video is the hardest one I've had to do so far. So, a year ago, exactly a year when this video will be posted, my dad passed away. To put it mildly, it was really unexpected. And as the days went and it came closer to the anniversary, I wanted to do something special for it. So I decided to make a video, just looking back on my memories with Dad and talking about what I loved about him, and reminiscing of my favorite memories with him. I hope you enjoy. Now, on we go. Warning in advance, my voice might crack a bit with emotion. Alright, one of my favorite memories with Dad is pretty recent. In like January or February of 2020, he and I went to see the Irish Rovers in concert. It was their last tour, and I first found out about it months earlier when I went to see an opera as a part of my fiber arts class in high school. I'd gotten into the band that year, and my dad liked them as well, so I asked if he wanted to go. We made the plan, and months later we saw the Rovers in concert. We even got front row seats, although they were all the way to the right of the stage. I'd been really excited. I could barely believe we were going to see them. And it was an incredible concert. The music was excellent. I heard a lot of songs of theirs that I hadn't heard before that concert. And one of my favorite songs they sang that concert was the Dublin pub crawl. Both Dad and I had taken a lot of pictures and a few videos, and at one point Dad either asked or dared me to go to the stage to take a picture, and I think I did. I can't really remember. We both were singing along a lot, joining in the reverie, and at the end the Rovers sang my favorite song of theirs, Drunken Sailor. I actually stumbled upon the Irish Rovers looking for sea shanties and found their rendition. It was the first song of theirs I'd ever listened to. But Dad and I had a blast joining in with that song, and at the end they gave autographs, and while I waited in line, Dad took pictures of me, and he took pictures of me in line getting each of their autographs, and I had them autograph like a CD, our tickets, and in fiber arts class that afternoon I had made a beanie cap, and I'd been really excited, told Dad I'm going to have them sign that. I actually think he suggested me having them sign it, so I was really excited about that. But a few years ago, I got one of the new Beyblades that had come out at the time, and being the nerd that I am, I wanted to make a stadium that was as large as the huge ones from the Metal Fight series of Beyblade, or similar in size, anyways. First I tried looking for a gong. I asked Dad to take me to a music store so I could scope out the prices, but Dad gave me an estimate of how expensive they'd be, and being broke, myself being broke that is, we started looking for other options. I'd forget about the ongoing project for a while, and then he'd bring it up when he thought of something that might work. We were in Walmart one time, and he pulled me over and showed me a bowl he'd found, asking me if that would work for the stadium. It hadn't been quite right, but looking back, I'm surprised he remembered, even when I hadn't. And that's how Dad was. He never turned away from helping me with a project, and if we couldn't finish or ran into a roadblock in the moment, he didn't forget about it and would continue to try to solve the problem. I tried to make a dual disc board out of a pizza box one night, and he took the one I had made, which was horrible, and made it many times better by morning. I loved that. And I loved that man. I loved my dad. He was incredible. And he really cared so much. And he cared a lot more than he was often able to express, or that it might come across on the surface. If a project was important to you, then it was important to him as well, and he'd try his best to help you with it. Like, one project he helped me with was, I wanted to make a cane, so he helped connect me with a friend of his that could help make the cane. We went into his workshop, and he offered to help make a handle for it, which was why we were in to begin with. I already had something I could use as the shaft of the cane, but Dad was just always willing to help with my projects, and if it didn't work, he wouldn't, or if we ran into a problem at the moment, he wouldn't forget about it. He'd keep looking for ideas, keep looking for solutions, even long after I'd went on to a new project. It amazes me, and it touches my heart. You don't always look, you don't always notice in the moment just how much someone cares. It's easy to become distracted by your life, by other projects, and miss how much someone cares in the moment. And when suddenly they're not in your life, or maybe not active in your life, it's then when you finally see how much they actually cared. But one thing Dad and I had in common was we both had been bullied a lot as kids, and that led to some amazing memories that we bonded over. A story my dad told me of his childhood that I absolutely adored was when he stood up to one of his bullies as a kid. There'd been a bully that picked on my dad every day, and one day he pushed Dad too far. And so he burst out in anger and shoved the kid against the water heater pipe. I think it was a water heater pipe anyways. Scalding the kid a bit, pushing him up by the neck. When he let the kid down, the bully never bothered him again, from what I remember of that story. And the principal even saw it transpire. He knew the kid constantly bullied my dad and was proud to see Dad stand up for himself. Later, the principal even called my grandparents and told them what happened. Told them how proud he was of my dad. And I don't think my dad was punished for it. I always loved this story whenever Dad told it to me. I really looked up to him a lot, and a lot because of this story. He did what I always wanted to do. Stood up to his bully, to that bully, and proved that to me that sometimes physical confrontation could actually pay off. And he did what I never would do. He physically stood up to his bullies, and there have been times that I'd have loved to lash out physically against the kids that were picking on me, but I never did, and I could never let myself. But how Dad just seemed really courageous and strong in this story to me. I mean, even though he was probably in elementary or middle school, he stood up to the kid, and it paid off. To be honest, he seemed like some kind of superhero to me as a kid in this story, and I hold it very dear to me. Other than that story, I love talking to Dad about the things I wanted to do to my bullies, how I wanted to stand up to them, pranks I wanted to pull on them, like giving them brownies with itching powder in them. Okay, and I want to make it clear, I thought about this mostly in elementary school, and I never intended to actually follow through on any of the pranks that I planned. And we bonded on talking about little pranks we could pull on the kids, other pranks, and I think we loved itching powder. The idea of itching powder, like Dad said something about putting them in their socks or shoes, or socks and shoes, and it was fun and cathartic, and we really came up with some horrible plans. Um, really, like, just the brownies with itching powder in them, I think that would probably be poisonous. Could be to a really horrible extent. Um, if not, it would just be a horrible feeling to have your stomach lining itch. But maybe Dad was a little too happy to talk about possible vengeance upon bullies, but it brought us closer, so that's good, right? That's a plus. But Dad and I never talked more than when we were running an errand, just driving in the car. See, whenever there was an errand that needed to be run, groceries to fetch, or go get gas, or whatever, Dad and I would go out together. And it was then that we'd take time and just talk about anything that came to mind. One time we were driving to Augusta. It was a long drive, and we just got talking. So we just began spitballing ideas for a story about a character similar to the Lone Ranger. For about an hour, we just talked about the idea, and the more we talked, the better it got. And every now and then, which means once or twice a week, we'd go for an ice cream from McDonald's. Of course, he'd tell me not to tell Mom, so it'd be just most of them would just be our little secret. Probably because he had diabetes and wasn't supposed to have very many sweets, but he would anyways. But I'll miss these times that I could spend with Dad, and not just for the snacks. I was able to bond with him the most while we were just driving in the car. One time we went over to Martin's. We had invited Mom and my brother to come with us, but neither wanted to that afternoon, and so we went out, and before we went over to Martin's, he took a different route and we stopped at Dairy Queen for an ice cream, for a cone. Of course, I'd been a little surprised since I thought we were going straight to Martin's, but I wasn't unhappy that we made the unexpected stop. I mean, who's going to turn down a free ice cream? The fall before he passed, I went to college about an hour away and still lived at home. Since I couldn't drive, Dad took me to and from campus every day. Every day I needed to be there, that is. He didn't make a fuss, and even when he might rather not go, he'd take me. We'd talk about just anything, story ideas, memories, annoyances, etc. And it was helpful because I could always just vent to my dad. If I had something that annoyed me or was going through something that filled me with anger, I could talk to Dad about it. And we'd talk, we'd discuss it. And he wouldn't try to give me another expected, like try to show me how the other person would feel or how I could grow or learn from the situation. Not usually. Sometimes he might add a little something about that. But he wouldn't try to give me their perspective or see it from another angle. He'd just let me let out my anger and validate it. Oftentimes he'd join in on, because we might be talking about a mutual experience or annoyance, and we would talk and get out our frustration, and then that would lead to other frustrations that we'd let out, and it was just a way for me to cope with some annoyances. And at the same time, I was able to bond with my dad. I haven't had many people in my life that I could just talk to like that, and I loved it. I love it, and I'll miss it. And sometimes I think I took it for granted. Sometimes I think I took him for granted. Which is probably a pretty common way to look back on a relationship that suddenly ended, to think you maybe took it for granted. But my dad loved cats. Absolutely loved cats, and I'm not sure there was a long period of time in which he didn't have one. One of my favorite stories he told me about his cats was about one named Shadow. That cat loved to roll into a ball and be bowled across the room into the fridge, into the refrigerator, and the cat would just walk back to Dad to be bowled again, roll back into a ball, be rolled across again. I wasn't around, I wasn't born yet when they had Shadow, but both of my parents attested to its existence, and I would love to have seen that. If only they'd taken a video. That would have been nice. It just sounds very cute. But a few years ago, I found this brand new Japanese stuffed toy in Books A Million. I think it was called a Tori Dango. It was a little brown owl. Little spherical brown owl plush. And there were some similar cat plushes. Cat toys. Stuffed animals. And yeah, my dad really fell in love with them. And whenever we went back to BAM or went to a new BAM, New Books A Million, he wanted me to check to see if they had any that he didn't have. Yeah, he had a good 8, maybe 10 of them, 10 different ones. And that's only really because we couldn't find others that he didn't have. He probably would have got more if he could. But, yeah. He spent a lot of time in the hospital, and was in and out of it my whole life. All my life. And one time, in 5th grade, I think, he was admitted to the hospital. And when he was there for a few weeks, maybe a month, and one afternoon, my mom, picked us up from school, and we stopped at Tim Hortons. And it just so happened they were having a promotion in which you could pop a balloon for $1 and get a coupon. I popped mine and received a free hot beverage. I knew Dad was having a hard time in the hospital, and I thought a decaf coffee might cheer him up. So I used the coupon, got him a coffee, and when we went to see him later that evening, I gave it to him, and he really enjoyed it. I was really excited to give it to him. And it's a memory it's a memory I really hold close to my heart. Yeah. It was, he was in and out of the hospital so much that, this the November that he was admitted like a week or two before Thanksgiving. He had a yeast infection that was sort of kicking his butt. And when he was admitted, I don't know, I didn't really think so much of it. It sort of happened kind of fast. And yeah, he was in the hospital so much as a kid. Like, I don't think there was really a year in which he didn't take like a 2-week visit to the hospital. So I was used to it. I thought, alright, he'll go to the hospital, be there for a couple weeks, maybe a month or two, and then be back home. Due to some other circumstances, we weren't able to go see him at all in the hospital. And then through all of it, I'm like, he's gonna get out, he'll be fine. Like, God has him, God's gonna heal him. And he was healed, just not in the way I would have preferred. It's alright. So, what I thought would be a routine visit, he'd go, be there for a period of time and come out. Well, yeah. Oh, this is really hard to talk about. But I was looking through his phone for pictures to use in the image that I was making for this video. And I saw a side of my dad I hadn't really seen before. Through the pictures on his phone. He took pictures about just about anything and everything that struck his fancy. Pictures of my cats, our cats. Pictures of friends, of my family. He had pictures of myself, my mom, and my brother that I did not know that he had even taken. There was a picture of me at Tim Hortons mid-bite, like I was chewing. I didn't even know he was taking a picture of me then. And he loved my family a lot. And looking through those pictures was really, really clear just how much he did. And he was always there. Always. Always there for me. Sorry, probably sound a little off. Probably don't sound the best right now, but I'm really gonna miss my dad. I loved him so much, and I still love him. He was always there. He'd listen and talk with me, and even when we got mad at each other or argued, got on each other's nerves, we were really close. still really close. I remember having a discussion with him after watching Jurassic Park, that, um, sorry, we got talking about dinosaurs and them being mentioned in the Bible, and certain theories concerning that, and I gave like a good 10-15 minutes of evidence as to evidence for my side in the discussion. I might do that discussion later in another video, but then he just didn't agree with me, didn't really have evidence to support his side, but it's fine. Now, it's fine, but got a little argument, but even when we'd argue, we'd still give it a little while, make up. A little while and everything would be fine. And every day that he's not here, things don't feel right. And it hasn't felt real in many ways. Part of why it was hard for me to make this video is I was worried that once I made it, it would become real, and I don't want it to be real. It's like I'm gonna walk into the living room and there he'll be sitting on his seat on the couch. And I know I'll see him again soon, one day. And I'm comforted knowing that my dad is in the kingdom and no longer feels any kind of pain. I'm comforted by that, and my sadness doesn't come from worry of that nature, but it comes from just missing him, that he's not here. But, yeah. Well, that's about all I think I can handle for now. But before I'd decided to do this video, it was actually quite a few months before I did. I watched a video that Ginger Ninja dedicated to her dad. Talking about her dad. And I'd like to thank Ray, because if I hadn't watched her video, it probably wouldn't have crossed my mind to make this one. It wouldn't have necessarily crossed my mind that this had been an option beforehand. And so, thanks. Thank you, Ray. If you ever watch this video, thank you. I really needed to do this, to make this video. And there's still so much regarding my dad and his passing that I haven't dealt with emotionally, so I'll probably make some more videos about him in the future. But for now, that's about it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope it wasn't hope it made you happy, and just give your loved ones a hug. Hold them close and cherish every moment you have. And every memory I have of my dad, I love very much. But yeah, until next time, Wanderers, please stop at my door again soon. Please, if you like the video, give it a like. Subscribe if you subscribe to my channel if you, or give the video a like if you're sentimental a bit, and I will talk to you again soon. Fond farewells, Wanderers.